Good evening, Dr. Tarbutton. This is Bryan Bailey with the Week 2 project of creating a mission statement or reviewing mission statements. I opted to look at the mission statement of the Florida Department of Corrections, the state agency that I'm employed with. And I noticed lots of glaring disparities, the vagueness of this mission statement. But first, let me give you a little bit of background on the Florida Department of Corrections. Florida's prison system is the third largest in the United States. We rank behind Texas and California. We have over 106,000 persons in correctional institutions, what we call prisons here in the state of Florida. And we have over 125,000 persons on parole and probation, being attended to by another completely big state agency associated, affiliated with the Department of Corrections. We have over 50-something prisons here in the state of Florida. It seems that every major county has a prison where it provides jobs, and basically it provides a warehouse for persons who have been convicted of crimes or being held for how long their sentences. So, okay, so let's take a look at slide number 2. What are vision and mission statements? Okay, Gabriel and Farmer in their book put it in this way: if a group wants to move forward, okay, it needs to develop an understood, agreed upon purpose. All right, and so really it's kind of like, what does the group want to do? What do they want to talk about? And in all commonality, it's similar to a roadmap that provides directions. From speaking from experience, if you have many people going in many different directions, your vision statement, your mission statement, is doomed for failure. Okay, so basically, it's kind of like consensus. What you want to do, how do you want to get there? Okay, what is it going to take to do this? Okay, let's talk about slide number 2. I came across an article by an educator, Cameron Akbar-Zeta, he wrote in 2011, and he wrote there, what are the 5 parts of a mission or a vision goals or statements? So according to Akbar-Zeta, all mission statements or vision goals should have these 5 elements in one form or the other. Okay, 1 is a positive. Okay, positivity. Use it in the present tense. If you use it in past or present, and the wording is just not going to be there. Okay. Second, you put the wording in present tense. Okay. All right. Also, keep it short and concise. Trying to get Akbar-Zeta is suggesting keep it short and sweet, right to the point. However, I would disagree with that, because sometimes you really got to spell out things, and you really got to put some extra word in there. And I believe that most of the time, short and sweet to the point, but sometimes you have to have something longer to spell out where you want to go in a direction for education. Also, Akbar-Zeta suggested make it challenging. For example, if you just come up with something ambiguous like, all inmates will get their GED. No, it's not going to happen. But something specific like a goal or a mission statement. They say the so-and-so regional prisons will unite resources to produce 400 GEDs in 1 year. Okay, that would be something realistic. Also, Akbar-Zeta suggested make a relation, all right, to A to B to C, and move on, and kind of keep building, doing building blocks. Okay, so that's what I have to say about slide number 3. Slide number 4, other essential elements. Let's take a look at that. All right. Now, Bayfile, another educator, kind of might be a contemporary of Akbar-Zeta, but she really would like to suggest that in order to accept the mission and to get the staff to buy into it, all right, she suggests that, all right, the mission statement, the vision goals, mission vision statements should be known by 1, the entire staff, Okay, one, focus on organization's attention and concentrate its energies. So basically, if a mission statement or a vision statement is geared towards adult education professionals like me, or social studies, or math, or special ed teachers, then basically let's form an alliance of all adult education teachers, and zoom, go to that goal. Okay. Make it the keystone of your entire strategic plan. So if we have a mission statement for the Florida Department of Corrections that says we will enroll and educate 31,000 inmates. Okay, so basically, okay, that's the keystone. We want to get 31,000 inmates into fill the open seats in GED classrooms, and attempt to get them, help them get their GEDs. Okay, let's see here. Mission statements should also be a bold declaration of what the organization should be. Okay. Well, considering that Florida Department of Corrections is a massive bureaucratic agency that is top-heavy, too many chiefs, not enough Indians, that's not, I don't know. That's you kind of be. But when you have a bold declaration, but then you have so many different bureaus and departments just within the corrections. Bayfile also suggested acknowledge reality and aspire to be idealistic. All right. The issue I have is make your mission statements or your vision statements realistic. Okay, the here and now, and in the world today, and as it relates to the world today, and what possibly would need to address the needs of the future. Okay? All right, and also Bayfile suggested that it should be a commitment to special distinctiveness, uniqueness, and originality. Okay, and the Florida Department of Corrections current mission statement, which I will read to here a little bit in my video. It's pretty distinct. It's unique and it has some originality to it, even though like I said, I will pick it apart for this project and talk and maybe add or delete and maybe make some more specificity ideas to it. Okay, so let's talk about the current Florida Department of Corrections mission statement. Okay, now it goes without saying that the state of Florida has told the Department of Corrections that you have a 3-year operational plan to do X, Y, and Z, ABC 1, 2, 3 goals, and here's the funding, here's the rules, here's the laws that you have to do to work with in order to what we want you to do. And this comes down from the governor and the state legislature. Okay, so as of February 2015, here is the current Florida Department of Corrections mission statement. All right, to promote safety of the public, our staff, and offenders by providing security, supervision, and care, offer opportunities for successful reentry into society, and capitalize on partnerships to improve the quality of life of Florida. Okay, so basically, it's kind of the way of thinking now has, instead of locking them up and throw away the key, it's as soon as the inmate enters into the Florida prison system through the reception and intake centers, where they're starting to think, okay, what do we need to do? What do we got to screen these inmates for? What do they need? So we can start thinking, getting them to think, okay, thinking about going home the day after that they're sent to the specific prison that will help them address their education, vocational, or even self-betterment needs. Okay, and it goes without saying that by the end of this year, there will be a new mission statement being rolled out for the Florida Department of Corrections, and if it's not late this year, probably early 2016. Okay, all right, so let's move on to slide number 5. Okay, all right, so I found this one pretty unique. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, since having done a lot of research with the 21st century skills, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, Florida Department of Corrections mission statement, which can be fine-tuned with and connected with the 21st century skills, and they could go really hand in hand. And so let's take a look at that. Why should the Florida Department of Corrections include 21st century skills? Well, let's talk about it. majority of the inmates who come to prison, they don't make really good life choices. They don't have an education. They don't have coping skills, proper thinking skills. Okay, so for example, and I cite the 21st century skills here, critical thinking and problem solving. Okay, through better ed programs, education, vocational training. All right, you can help a person reason effectively. You can train them to reason effectively, make sound judgments and decisions, and to solve problems, without having to resort to violence or idiocy or just plain stupidity. Okay, how about and a lot of these inmates that I interview at my prison is information media and technology skills. A lot of these inmates, they don't know how to use a computer. They don't know how to access the internet, how to type, how to use a fax machine. All right, and so for example, we really rely heavily on computers in my education program to help these inmates with testing skills, reading literacy, reading remediation, maybe to help them type, use Microsoft Office to create resumes, and even to apply for jobs online. And lots of employers nowadays want inmates or want people to apply online. Okay, and that's what I had to do when I first applied for the Department of Corrections. They wanted me to apply online and send all that stuff in via email and attachments. Okay, so I'm thinking eventually, yes, the Education Bureau, at least from my end, and my supervisors in the Education Bureau up in Tallahassee, are going to make some really strong suggestions here, because we see that a lot of these inmates are going home in less than 10 years in the Florida Department of Corrections, either through 10 years or less, and then we have a large number of inmates who will be receiving parole and probation dates, who originally were given life or death sentences, but then they were the courts and the parole commission is reducing the prison population. So long-range forecasts in the next 5 years, they're expecting anywhere from 15 to 25,000 inmates will be released back into society here in the state of Florida, and probably double that number of persons who end up finishing their parole and probation while they're out on the streets. Okay, so the DOC mission statement and 21st century skills, in my opinion, go hand in hand. All right, let's talk about slide number 7, and I labeled this specificity because the Florida Department of Corrections mission statement, like I said, it's very ambiguous, right? And it needs to be more specific. Like, how can it improve the quality of life of ex-felons, the taxpayers who, pretty much like me and every other person who lives in the state of Florida, or any other state, federal taxes, whatever it may be. All right, so how can it benefit the quality of life of ex-felons, taxpayers, and staff? Okay. My next question is, okay, maybe throw something specific in there, like what is the cost comparison analysis to housing an inmate for 1 year to, say, having a person living out there on 1 year and working as a free person for 1 year. Okay, what their income is compared to what it costs to house a person for committing petty crimes. Okay, so, and then on top of that, considering that there's still a lot of staff who don't buy into the reentry idea, so I would suggest, in order to maybe kind of get a lot of staff buy-in, maybe something easy and quick and easy, issue laminated note cards to all the staff where once a day they can pull it out of their wallet or with their ID cards, and the administrators set the expectation that, hey, staff, at least once a week, just look at this again, and to know your role and knowing your place within the mission statement and what's kind of expected of you. Okay. All right, moving on to slide number 7, and again, I'm referring to my notes here. Okay, stakeholders. Okay, in my opinion, the inmate, students, and the staff of really the program's bureaus Well, that includes chaplaincy, education, classification, which are another version of parole and probation officers, are pretty much the primary stakeholders. Okay, security is important, but I'm looking at it from a program's and an educator standpoint. All right, so what are the students' stake in this? Okay, and it's a pretty big chunk. If you're to give it 0 to 100%, it's probably at least 75%. All right, in my opinion. All right, students will have access to resources in the Florida Department of Corrections to receive an education and receive information to finish academic, vocational, or betterment goals in public venues such as adult education centers and job corps. By that, if an inmate were to finish his sentence before he finishes his GED, I would take it upon myself as a responsibility to do a service to help this man or this woman, providing them, ask them, where are you going back to, what city or county, give them addresses and contact people to where they can go right to, say, an adult education center, or if they're looking for job skills, job corps, and then they can go and talk to these people, and they can go right there, finish their GD, or sign up for some kind of VOTEC training. Okay, the programs bureaus are really important stakeholders. Okay, we're pretty much what we gather what's left out of the 50 to 60%, 75% of what the inmates receive. Okay, and let's put it this way: any and all educators, whether we're college professors, adult education center directors, classroom teachers, all right, we impact the lives of our students daily. Okay, for the most part, it's always in a positive way, but sometimes it's negative. All right, in GD programs in the Florida prison system, okay, our focus is on providing inmates with a good education and good resources, okay, to make better decisions and make connections to continue their education or their betterment life goals in public venues. Okay, basically refer them to the appropriate people, and while they're out, hopefully the connections that they can make on the streets through association and contacts will give them a helping hand up on, and hopefully not to come back to the state of Florida prison system. Okay, slide number 9. Let's talk about some of the justifications, and is justified. Okay, all right. From the education point of view, okay, the Florida Department of Corrections mission statement, it needs to be realistic, it needs to be measurable, and it needs to be attainable. Okay, and it kind of goes back to the goals and objectives of any lesson plan. Okay, and a mission statement is pretty much similar to that. All right, so I encourage, and honestly, I think if you're going to set forth a mission statement, like I said, keep it realistic, keep it measurable, and keep it attainable. All right. An example of this, okay, and just an idea I'm throwing out here: enroll inmates that are identified by the intake reception centers and make them attend and complete necessary beneficial education, vocational, or betterment programs prior to release. Okay. It needs some fleshing out, but okay. So now here it is. Okay, it's realistic. A lot of these poor souls are coming to the prison system. They don't make good choices. Okay, so through education, vocational job trade, and betterment classes such as anger management, parenting skills, others, drug counseling. If they kind of have a better aspect, that's what means one less person hopefully will not come back to prison, and reduce costs to the taxpayers. Okay, so slide number 10, the last part of my presentation here. I would like to throw out maybe a new proposed Florida Department of Correction mission statement. Okay, all right. So here it is, and I'm doing it from an education standpoint. And I'm sure one of my supervisors in the Education Bureau, who I work with very closely, I'm going to show this to him as well. And for the most part, I think it might get some really good ideas. Okay. Alright, so this is my suggestion. To promote the safety of staff, felons, and the state of Florida in general, screen all inmates as they enter the intake centers and reception centers of the prison system to determine their specific needs. Then, enroll these persons into mandatory necessary programs that will better prepare them to make better life decisions upon release, with community supports, information, and venues. So that concludes my week 2 project, and I thank you for watching my video. Thank you.